to understand the terminology and the definitions around something like a security group. And that relates more back to your VPC, right? So I think one of the last points that I want to hit around compute here is that when you go into the cloud practitioner exam, understand that you can create something similar to a firewall around your compute unit. You can start to say, yeah, I got this compute unit within a subnet, and that subnet is going to allow traffic within this subnet or block that. But then around the compute unit within that subnet, I can add additional rules. So the security group says, am I going to allow connections inbound? Right, and I can make a rule for that. Am I going to allow connections outbound for this compute unit? I can make a rule for that. And I can be specific about the port, the door that is open based on the traffic that's coming into the compute unit. And one of the popular ports out there that you probably know about, even if you don't have a technical background, it's like HTTP, right? Port 80, or HTTPS, that's port 443. You would just indicate those ports as you're creating what is called a security group that is assigned to both of these app servers. We need to have the same type of network connections on both of these app servers because they're part of our application and a part of our entire infrastructure here, right? So study up on security groups. Right?
Yeah, and if I could just break that down even a little bit further before we wrap up here, think about who has a key to come into your front door. Right? Let's say if you've got one of these new auto locks, right? Or code locks, who has a code to come into your front door or your back door? Who has a garage key to come through your garage, right? So we've got some kids. We don't give them physical keys to our house any longer, right? Because they've lost too many of them, right? So now we give them codes, right? And now we can disable those codes, and we can change those codes when we need to, right? I had to do that for my brother-in-law just recently, right? And I say all of that to say we can tie and match all that we do here to what we just do on a regular basis, right? When we think about just security of our home, I'm constantly looking at, well, are the doors locked? Are the windows locked? From a perimeter perspective, or the security group, when we relate it back to that for a quick minute, right? Who is allowed entry and exit as well? Can I see who's coming in and coming out, right? I want to be able to understand that through the logs that are being captured as well. But everything in my mind, at least, that we think about from a technical perspective can be related back or broken back down into, just what we do every day. The way that we approach things, the way that we look at things just may differ depending upon what our outcome is. But if we always work back from what our goal or the outcome is, it really does help us in tying it back together and what makes sense to you. And that's the goal. Let it make sense to you, where you're at and what you're doing or what your experience has been. Hopefully that helps.
Oh yeah. I know that's going to help, Coach. Right? Relating it to what you do every day is golden. Having opportunity to get to that exam and say, "Hey, Coach Charisma told me about, having an opportunity to allow people into a door and, not allow them into the door." Now I have a little bit of more insight on those security groups, on those security mechanisms. So I absolutely love that, folks. Use that. Again, week 3, folks. Understanding the services and the terminology that's going to be on that AWS Cloud Practitioner, and being able to kind of say, I can use this video as a study guide. And now I'm going to go into more documentation and kind of prep myself a bit more, but at least you get this high level overview of what some highly available architecture is. Again, folks, next week, it's all about cost. So get ready to hear the conversation about managing your account, right? From a cost perspective, because again, hey, I'll tell you this, having an AWS account, you'll understand that monitoring costs is going to be a super important thing for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
but we make it easy. We can make it easy as well, right? That's the one thing I want to stress, right? But you gotta set some alarms to make sure you know what you're doing.
You got to do it. At least be knowledgeable. So, yeah, folks, I'm glad you hung out with us, right? Keep hanging out with us. Next week's going to be the last week of the Cloud Practitioner. You know what that means? You can go out now. If you've been preparing yourself with these videos along with documentation, go and take that exam. But after you do that, even if you don't do it just yet, the following week after that 4th week is going into the AI practitioner. So we've been diligent. We've been making posts and videos. We've gotten you through the Cloud Practitioner almost. We got another week of that. But I'm so excited to get you ready and prepare for that AWS AI Practitioner Foundation exam. So
you know what would be really cool, Eric, before we go? Let's make sure that we give them resources to skill builder exam prep. I want to make sure that they're feeling confident with the way that The exam preps there provide you very clear explanation as well as links to resources and documentation for them to understand why the question is right, but also why the question is wrong, or should I say, why your answer is wrong.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, it just further builds your knowledge about, oh, that's why. Understanding fundamentally the why something is right, but also why it's wrong, has hands down been the way that I approach things. No matter what exam I'm preparing for, as a matter of fact, I need to research for my security exam, as a matter of fact, right? But no matter what exam it is that I'm studying for, I approach it that way. I'm going to use that as a base to say, okay, well, why is it wrong? Why is it right? And then as I'm now going into other questions, it helps me to be very clear and concise in reading through those questions and then diving further. So,
absolutely. And getting that well-rounded experience of the exam, I do the same thing, and that's excellent advice, folks. Please follow it. You're going to do great on the exam. You're going to do great on the exam, right? And if you're having trouble, lean on us. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. Just send us a message, and we'll be happy to kind of, help you out with everything. So, but it was fun hanging out with you folks.
All right. Enjoy.
Enjoy. See you later. Bye-bye.